What do you want me to do? Take the headset off? It takes forever. I was starving. I haven't had anything since 6 in the morning. And then, boom, I thought I'd sneak in a banana. Bad move.
Here he is, one half of the team, Donnie and Dhali on Czech television, weekdays from 10 to noon, and celebrating 1 year as of this Monday. It's our Friday regular and Canucks insider, Mr. Rick Dhaliwal. Happy anniversary.
Right back at you guys, because you guys were a day after us. And
That's right.
I just want to say, congrats. And as you guys know, the media landscape in this country has been changing quite a bit in the last few years. And you guys had one of the best shows ever in the afternoons in this market for many, 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 many years. I'm just happy that you guys, along with us, continue to try and give the people of Vancouver local. Because, look, guys, most of these entities in Vancouver are owned by suits in Toronto, and it's not good. And it's in order to serve local, you have to care. You have to care about local. You guys do. Donnie and myself care, and that's a big thing for me. So congrats on the 1 year.
Right back at you. You're really leaning into the banana thing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you? So, anyways, we did a taped with the Blue Jays reporter today at 11 o'clock. So I had 15 minutes. I ate my bananas there. If I do it just before you guys, then I get the frog in the throat.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that. I'm glad we've planned out banana time at Sekeres Price recording time. And thanks for the kind words, Ricky. You're collaborators forever. You with the 100%. Two of us, all right? Spencer Martin, you signaled this earlier in the week. He's got a new 2-year one-way deal for the Vancouver Canucks, which very much makes it look like he is going to be Thatcher Demko's backup going forward. Any chance he's getting called up and playing some NHL games before the season's done?
I asked Jim Rutherford that about 3 weeks ago, and he had kind of hinted it's a possibility. I don't know 100% on that, but I know Jim had said maybe one game. Look, the key in this whole Spencer Martin thing for me, guys, is they got him at a good price point. It's a one-way deal for him, so he's worked hard all his life. What do you work hard for, guys, to get that one-way deal at the National Hockey League level? Hey, he got term. He got 2 years. This team has got dead money on Halak and Holtby. So they get a good guy at a good price point. Everyone was impressed with him. I think it's a win-win for both sides. I know the organization has a ton of faith in him. The other thing, this trade for Spencer Martin went under the radar in Vancouver last year. It wasn't a big talking point at all. When I talked to Rutherford, he went out of his way to say to me that, you know what, it was a good trade. It was a good trade by Mr. Johnson in Utica at the time, because it did happen in Utica. It didn't happen in Abbotsford. And he went out of his way to say that, this was a nice, quiet pickup for the organization. But like I said, he gets term, he gets a one-way. That's what the whole objective for the player and the agent was in this. They got it. So I think it's win-win both sides, guys.
They need him to be the backup too, don't they? Because you're right, with the dead money they've got, this is effectively like they've got a $3.1 million backup. So he needs to kind of play like a $3.1 million backup.
100%. And if they don't have the dead money with Halak and Holtby, guys, they might have had some more money to play with that position, but let's be honest. They're going to pay 4 goaltenders next year at the National Hockey League level, and I don't think anyone's doing cartwheels about that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But if he steps up and he's good at that price, then they get away with it, right? That would be one way to get away with it.
100%. And don't tell me you two guys weren't impressed with what was the one game where he had 50 saves, I think. In one of his appearances in Vancouver. Everybody was going goo goo gaga. The whole weekend where he played was really impressive, Spencer Martin. And by all accounts, guys, great kid. He's worked his way up, and now he's got a shot in Vancouver now, a 2-year window here to do some damage.
Yeah, and it also clears the decks for Mikey DiPietro and Arthur's Siloffs in Abbotsford. Do they continue to believe in those two, Rick? Are those going to be the young goalies they continue to want to groom?
That's a great question. I thought about this one, and you know what? You nailed it, Matt. When I think of this, Spencer Martin moving up to Vancouver, I'm thinking about Mikey DiPietro's future in Vancouver. And I know the poor kid, his development hasn't been great because they kept him up last year. He didn't play a ton of games. The year before, he didn't play a ton of games. He hasn't played a ton of games.
No.
But if you're going to keep Mike DiPietro in your system, he better be number one in Abbotsford next year, and he better play a ton. Yeah. And I know he's a restricted free agent, so that's one for me where you got to sit down and talk with this kid and say, here's our plan for you. If you're going to be the number one guy in Abbotsford, you're going to play a ton, and you're going to be that guy that's going to take over when Martin's done in 2 years. That's a great question, Matt. What is the future of Mike DiPietro in my eyes?
Well, speaking of futures, I think the elephant in the room is Bruce Boudreau. And what about his future with the Vancouver Canucks? What have you picked up here in the last week?
Well, what I've picked up with is John Shannon went on your show. He came on our show. And for the sake of everybody, especially the fans, just give the guy some clarity. Because here's what's going to happen. Because Matt Sekeres said yesterday, sources tell him Paul Maurice could be a good fit in Vancouver. We've heard of the Grönborg, the Swedish coach. His name's popped up. We got another, 2.5, 3 weeks to go before the end of the season. If you don't want names like Maurice and Grönborg popping up in Vancouver, give Boudreau, first of all, clarity, then give the media and the fans clarity, but they're not doing that. And I like, if he's your guy, why not just tell him he's your guy going forth? Like, I don't know. Like, the biggest thing for me, guys, why no clarity? Because don't you think they know that if he's back or not, or he's going to be the guy next year? If he is, what is the fear in letting them know?
Yeah, right. I'm not sure that decision has been made. Like, I do think I do think they're sort of being honest here in that they don't want to have to say anything because they can't really say with any definitiveness that Boudreau is going to be back. So, I think
let me get this in. What has Boudreau got to do? To come back? He's 26, 14, and 7.
And I've been debating this with Price all week that, he's winning 64% of his games and they're chanting his name home and away. Do you think the last 10 games here are going to have a bearing? Like, do you think if Boudreau goes out and wins a bunch of them, that's going to intensify the pressure and make it more likely that he's back? Or do you think it's independent of how they finish here? That it's just about fit and style and structure?
Remember, we talked about 6-7 months ago. Remember the Hamonic story at training camp, and he wasn't reporting, and it was so tough to get information, and it was one of the toughest stories I've ever covered in the city. It was just really hard to get info, and I'm going to put this one not as hard as Hamonic, but it's hard getting info on Bruce Boudreau right now. He does have an agent, and actually, Matt, his agent, Gil Scott, the former CFL agent, who he had Adam Rita, Don Matthews, all the top players in the CFL would always gravitate to Gil Scott. Well, Gil Scott's moved over to NHL coaches, and he has he represents a lot of NHL coaches, which I didn't know about before I found out that he was Boudreau's agent. But look, it's tough to get information on this, and the Canucks have kind of stop talking about it. It's hard to get information where it's all hearsay. We're all guessing. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. Matt, I don't have insight why the Canucks haven't said yes or no to him. But I certainly, I hope the Canucks never criticize the media for bringing up names like Maurice or Grönborg, because we're kind of doing that because there's no clarity and his future's up in the air and the club's not kind of coming out and saying he's in or out. So you're going to have, and there's a multitude of possible coaching changes that could happen after the season, Matt and Blake. So
Rick, they know it, right? Bruce Boudreau and his agent, they know that. And if anything, you brought up his record. If he finishes strong and there's still nothing from the Canucks, they know they probably will have some options.
That's it. And to me, the only thing I can think of, new regime, they want their guy. Alvin's kind of complained about the practice habits, but is that on the players or the coach? a new guy, new GM. He might have a guy. They got a Pittsburgh connection, these guys. They've hired a lot of Pittsburgh guys. Maybe there's somebody in Pittsburgh. Who knows? It's all guesswork, like I mentioned. But if they do change and they come out and say, this is the way we want to do it, we want to build with this guy, I would not be surprised. But I guess I'm just guessing, though. I'm not saying that. But they do have that caveat that we're the new regime. We want our own guy. That's the only thing I can think of.
And this is a tough one because, as we've discussed on Sekeres Price this week, there have been few times in the last decade where Canuck Nation has seemed this united and happy about the direction of the club and its leadership. And yet, if the president of hockey operations has a long-standing with Paul Maurice and, wants to work with somebody that he's closer with, if the GM has a relationship with Gronberg, the Swedish coach, so if he's not the president or the GM's guy, I can understand why you'd want to move on, unless you look at it and say, look, we're not winning the Stanley Cup next year anyways. This is a popular coach who's getting the most out of what he's been given. Maybe ride it out through the option year. I don't envy anybody in this equation because timing seems like it's going to be everything, and there's some sensitivities, I suspect, on both sides of the equation. Because, frankly, Rick, I think Boudreau looks as well and says, if Sheldon Keefe gets canned, that is my absolute dream job. And he won't be alone. I think there'll be others who'll be eyeing the Toronto job. But as you said, there could be like 6, 8, 10. Who knows how many openings in the offseason.
Travis Green's out there, and Travis Green, there's going to be maybe I don't know if Winnipeg's going to bring back Lowry. Travis Green, his name has popped up with the World Hockey Championship team, and it's coming up in Finland next month. And is he going to be a candidate? I'm sure he will be. But Travis Green's out there. There's a multitude of possible changes. You're right. And maybe they got an eye on a guy that no one's even thought about. It's just I just wish they would, for Bruce's sake, give him some clarity, even beyond the scenes. Give it to him, the clarity, and then announce it after the season, which is fine. But I don't know what else he could do. 26, 14, and 7, guys, is a pretty good damn record.
I do wonder, too, guys, is Joel Quenneville considered rehirable this summer? Will people think that there's time served there enough that he's hireable? Because I think he's got, from a PR standpoint, less stink on him than Mike Babcock does. Right. But that's in the eye of the beholder. That's in the eye of the public as to whether or not they think he's rehirable. And I think the Leafs might be, if they lose at an inopportune time, they might be desperate enough to give that a try.
Here's another one for you guys. Where's the appetite for the owner to pay tons of people to not coach in Vancouver? You're paying Travis Green. You apparently Boudreau's got something in his contract. If you don't bring him back, he gets a lump sum or whatever. The new guy's going to cost you, depending on his experience, 2 to 3 to 4 or whatever. Travis was getting on his new deal close to 3. So it's going to cost you money. Where is the appetite there for the owner to pay a ton of people not to coach in Vancouver?
Well, and that's the other thing here, Rick. Like Boudreau was Francesco's hand-picked guy. Is he going to want his president of hockey operations removing his hand-picked guy within 6 months and after winning 65% of the games?
That's his job. That's Rutherford's job. Francesco Aquilini is not the hockey guy, right? So, it makes a lot of sense to us. Whether or not Francesco has a temper tantrum about it, we don't know. But, that's not Frankie's job. It's Jim Rutherford's job to decide who's the head coach of this team.
But he kind of has started this whole thing by hiring Boudreau before Rutherford.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. But that's the point. But that's the point here, Blake. It may not be his job, but it's his word at the end of the day. Like, he gets the last call on this.
Sure. Sure. But again, Rutherford doesn't take this job without assurances that he's not going to do things like that. And the minute Francesco starts to meddle, Rutherford's going to be like, we chatted about this. So, you have to be careful about poisoning the well if you're Francesco Aquilini, not even a year into this relationship with Jim Rutherford, an esteemed hockey guy. I think the Aquilinis would be a little bit more hands-off this early in the relationship.
Well, it doesn't have to be keep my guy. It could be, no, there's no more budget for coaching. So,
yeah, that's it.
That's what they could say. So you got to go with Boudreau. Anyways,
we just got to try and read the tea leaves the best we can when they're not providing clarity. And it sure sounds like they've clamped down on Boudreau talk management. Nobody's getting anything, and
Ricky Dreger said it was extraordinary how quiet it was on this file. Like an insider of that level, and he's not able to get a single response or thing out of this. So you can tell it is very sensitive times. Let's move on, my friend.
Let's talk about some players, because
exactly.
Tis the season to be bringing in either your own prospects or looking for prospects for next year as well in terms of signing. We know that the power of college hockey, Michigan is apparently going to get broken up. 7 or 8 of those players will be signing deals and turning pro. So much for that as they get bounced in overtime in the semifinal. But you tell us what's happening with Canucks players right now.
Well, Canucks players, Linus Karlsson broke Pettersson's rookie scoring record in Sweden. If his team loses tomorrow, the Canucks can go and sign him. And from everyone I've talked to, the player himself, the agent, even the team, everybody wants to get this signing done. Last year, this time, the agent told me he's not ready to sign in Vancouver, and they went back and he ripped it up. Great move. Just the patience. I love that, because in hockey, there's no patience. Doesn't matter what level you're on. I don't care if it's minor hockey, junior. There's no patience, but they showed patience. So they said, no, we're not ready. So now they're ready. Everybody's ready to sign. Here's the problem. He loses tomorrow and the Canucks say, let's sign. Problem is, if Sweden wants him for the World Hockey Championships, that could throw a wrench in the plans to sign him. But they are going to find out this weekend. So if he loses tomorrow, Linus Karlsson, I think his camp has got to call Sweden and say, hey, is he in the mix? And if he's in the mix, then he's got to go to camps and do all that stuff, and that would throw a wrench in the plans to sign him. But if you get him over here, Blake and Matt, you've signed Arshdeep Bains, who just passed 100 points, is leading the Western Hockey League scoring in Red Deer. You want to get Linus Karlsson in the mix. NCAA players, they haven't had a lot of luck. They came top 3 on 2 guys, and they started the NCAA process a little bit late, Blake and Matt. They kind of were hoping to get one. They kind of were the bridesmaid, top 3 on 2 guys for sure, I know. So it's pretty quiet on the NCAA front for them. But if they can get Linus Karlsson, they're going to have Arshdeep Bains, and then you just got to go into the summer and try to add and add and add.
Then the Russian winger, right? Then if they get the Russian winger, no one's going to care about missing out on the college free agents.
And they are in on him. They are in on Kuzmenko. Kuzmenko, Alvin really liked him when he was in Pittsburgh, and he still likes him when he's in Vancouver. I have talked to Kuzmenko's agent, and absolutely the Canucks will be.
Is that Milstein? Is it Dan Milstein who represents Kuzmenko? He represents a lot
Dan
of the
Milstein.
Rangers.
But Dan also told me, he says, Rick, every team in the league's called. Mm-hmm. Not just Vancouver, every team in the league.
Right.
When you can get these guys and their freebies, it's and this is why this part of the season or the spring is so important, is because you get to get these players without coughing up a draft pick or without making a trade, and these are freebies, and that all teams hold these guys high in regard. All
right, last question. Best part about working with Don Taylor and Ryan J. Henderson over the last year?
Well, let me start with Taylor. Henderson, it'll be short. It'll be like 6 seconds.
Okay. Let me go I thought that was it. I thought you were moving on to Henderson right after that.
No, I'm going to tell you, I love it. It's a great 3-man team. Derek also, no one mentions Derek. He's a big part of it here. Oh Boy Studios, you guys don't know how good these guys are. And you guys got great guys behind the scenes too. Well, we got great guys and gals behind the scenes as well. It's a fun show. We get here, we argue, we yell, we scream, we drop a bunch of F-bombs during the commercial breaks and the 1-hour show before. I yell. You guys know that because I yell like a maniac. You guys have both seen it. A lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, but a lot of good work too. Donnie's the key. I got to be honest with you. When I, 32 years radio, and then this TV, I got a face for radio. You guys know that. I got a face for radio. Donnie's the key. He is just a magnificent, creative mind. He just knows, like today we showed, he won't do Derek's feet, and no one knows what Derek looks like, but he's just got the creativity it's through the roof. And Don Taylor's the key to this show. Henderson's the best producer in the city. I don't care about the producers you guys got. Henderson's better. Who do you guys got? Wadden and Applecut. The Henderson's better. I'll put him on anywhere. I'll put him on top five.
Top five. Okay.
I thought you said best ever. Now he's top five.
Now he's top five.
He's demoted him. He's
downgraded
off the Mount
within
Rushmore.
Top five.
He's downgraded
top five
within
in Vancouver. Top five in Vancouver. And no, we're all in the same boat. We're
How
all
many
you
sports
guys
producers are in Vancouver? There's probably five.
But there's probably five.
Yeah.
And when
They're all
and
top
that's when-
five.
Yeah.
By
and
definition.
when I talk to you about the importance of year one for you guys and us, and about being local and serving the people of Vancouver, we're not talking Blue Jays, and we're not talking Maple Leafs.
Oh,
You know,
It's getting political.
oh, here we go.
It's local. Hey, hold it, Blake. It's local, and it really. And I got a special spot for radio. You guys did radio. You guys were so tremendous for so many years. I got a special spot for radio in my heart. And, you know, when I see what's happening to Vancouver radio by certain suits in Toronto, it's disgusting. It makes me mad. But it is what it is. Times are changing, and digital has come on board and all that stuff. I get it. You got to change with the times. But I was the kid that grew up with the newspaper. 6 o'clock, Tony Parsons, and Blake, you know that, and also radio, J.P. McConnell, Neil McRae, Dan Russell, like that's what I grew up with, and I'm just an old-fashioned guy, and
Yes.
but times are changing.
And you work with a creative genius, Don Taylor, and he's a creative genius because he decided, let's put the camera on Derek's feet. Everybody knows what Derek looks like. I saw that bit too.
Yeah, he's so good. He gets it. And then Henderson, despite the fact that he drives me nuts, he's really good at his job.
Well, I'm glad you and Blake made up because I saw the anniversary shout out earlier this week on the show, and you led with a very tertiary happy anniversary, except for that Price. I don't like his smart mouth. So.
I just always get the feel that I'm not good enough for Blake Price.
No.
I just get that feel.
No, you're better.
Because he's up here, and we're all down here. This is it. I'm down here. Price is up here.
It's good pressure. It's good pressure for you, Ricky. It'll keep you pushing. It'll keep you pushing.
No, you're top drawer in my books, Rick Dhaliwal. Thank you for this. Have a great weekend. Crown o'clock, buddy, and we'll catch up on Friday.
Bananas on
Adios, amigos.
Actually, we won't catch up next Friday because it's Good Friday.
That's right.
So you have a wonderful Easter weekend, and then we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
We're off Friday, too. Have a good one, guys.
Okay,
see you, buddy.
Be well. Rick Dhaliwal, everyone of Dolly and Donnie. The team check television 10 to noon weekdays, celebrating their 1 year anniversary.
People don't know that Ryan J. Henderson is actually the oldest of the three of them. Not by birth years, but in terms of just spirit and soul.
I do believe that Ryan
70s.
J. Henderson was amongst the crowd to meet the Beatles at JFK.
Yeah.
When they took New York all those years ago.
I think he was a step behind
certainly
Moses
at
in
the
the
Shea
Red Sea,
Stadium.
I think.
He may have been. He may have been.
Yeah, that's how far back he goes.